Okay, so we're live. Hi everyone. Can you all confirm in the chat if you can hear us or if you're here? Yes,
Yes.
the people online.
Yeah.
Hello. Can you hear me, Nakshi?
Yes, yes, you're audible.
Hey everyone. Can you hear us?
Your voice is little dirty.
Stage if you can hear us if you're here.
Yeah, I think folks are saying they can hear you, Shamita.
Okay, perfect. Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Product Teardown. I hope you all are excited for today's session. So, I think before we begin, a lot of you might be new to the product space or the product folks, and you would have heard about this the first time. So, just to give you all a brief context, the product folks is one of the Asia's largest product community. We do a lot of things, right from cohorts to live sessions to meetups to helping people break into product. We do a lot of things. So do make sure to check out the productfolks.com and join our Slack community. You'll be updated with everything that's happening in the product every day. And coming to the product teardown, that's one of our flagship event that we host at the Product Folks. So this is an event that we've been doing for around 3 years, where we partner with a company and which gives us a problem statement that we let our audience solve and present. And through this, a lot of people have been able to break into product, get new jobs, and a lot of crazy success stories. So if you missed out on this teardown, make sure you check out the upcoming ones. So this month we had something very, very interesting. We partnered with the Inclusive Product Management Fellowship by Dalberg and Belongg, and which is a very interesting program. If you haven't checked out, please do check it out now. We have Nirat and Radhika from Belongg who will be giving just a brief about it. So handing over the mic to you, Nirat and Radhika, just to give our audience an insight on this.
Thanks, Shamita. Hi, everyone. Excited to be on this call. Hopefully, my audio is very clear. Radhika and Nakshi, just confirm that you can hear me, all right?
Yeah,
So,
we can hear you.
okay,
Yeah.
great. So excited about this session. Belongs a social innovation venture that focuses on inclusion within technology products, and along with Dalberg and also with Omidyar Network India, we've launched this fellowship program called the Inclusive Product Management Fellowship, which is going to work with cohorts of product managers across 10 to 12 companies and help them make more inclusive features in their products. So more gender inclusive product features, more disability inclusive features, and so on. And then in this journey, we've partnered with the product folks, and they've been super exciting sort of partner. So we thought we could actually get ideas from the community, from the product folks community, on how they might reimagine certain categories of products. So that's how this teardown came to be. We sort of outlined three different product categories: fintech apps, fashion apps, and so on, and then posed certain problem statements on how those products could be made more inclusive for different communities, for people with disabilities, for people from the queer community. And we were really excited to see the submissions that came in from the product folks community, from all of you. And it was a very hard kind of task shortlisting the five presentations that all of us will see now. But I'm personally super excited about the next couple of hours, and really listening to the ideas that all of you have, and how you thought about this. So very excited. Now, I'll quickly pass it to my colleague Radhika, who can also maybe say a couple of words, and then we can pass it back to Shamita.
Hi everyone, I hope you can hear me fine. Very excited to be here. We saw all of your presentations and we thought they were really wonderful. Excited to see, the sessions and everything with really looking forward to, all of your presentations. Yeah, I think we can begin now.
Okay, thank you so much, Neerath and Radhika. So, for everybody in the session, just walking you through the flow today. So, we will be having a picker wheel where we'll be picking one participant and random out of the five who will be coming in order of that to present their screen. You will be having 5 plus 2 minutes. So we will be giving you a warning at exactly 5 minutes. So you'll have 2 more minutes to wrap up. So make sure you concentrate more on the important parts, and make sure you cover the presentation within the 7 minutes. After the 7 minutes, there'll be a round of Q&A from Nirat and Radhika. And after all the participants are done, they'll be announcing the winners. So if everybody is ready, we can choose our first participant. I think it's Nishta and Srivatsav. Nishta and Shreya, can you see? Can you see the screen? And uh, yeah, Nakshi, are you sharing the screen, or did you see my screen share?
Yeah, I will.
Just
Okay.
give me a second. Yeah, yeah. No, no, I'm sharing my screen. Nishta and Shreya, you're the first participant. Can you raise your hands and come up to the stage? Okay, Nishta is here. Hey, Shreya. Hey, Shreya. Hey, Nishta.
Hello.
Hi
Am I
Shreya,
audible?
Nisha.
Yeah, hi.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Shreya and Nishta, we can hear you guys. So, Shreya, Nishta, you can give us a quick intro about you guys, and when you start your presentation, we will start the timer.
Okay, just a second, let me adjust my. I'm ready.
I don't think we can hear you, Nishta.
Nishta, you are. No. Sir, you can give your intro until you start the same.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Okay, so myself Shreya Shrivastava and I'm a PCA student pursuing from Maharaja Surajmal Institute. So this much. And stuff.
Welcome, Shreya. Shall we start, Shamita?
Yeah, I think Nishta is not able to speak, so
If you guys are together, you can come from one screen.
yeah.
Sorry for the inconvenience, but just give us 2 minutes. Just give us 2 minutes.
Should we start?
Yeah, you can start.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm sorry for the inconvenience. I the last one glitches. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you can start your presentation.
Okay, starting in three, two, one. The first place I think of when I need to refresh my wardrobe is Sarojini or Lajpat. But this is not true for my queer friends who, let alone purchase, wouldn't even accompany me to window shopping. That's because they fear the people around and judgment of Sarojini wale bhaiya. uh, Everyone wants to, and that's the problem. Everyone wants to feel confident in what they wear, from trying it to purchasing it to flaunting it on their Instagram. Thus, they prefer shopping online where they can avoid such external factors. However, try putting yourself in the shoes of a queer person who faces several challenges. A. You'll get uncomfortable navigating in traditional categories. B. You'll also face difficulty in finding trends and information about the community. C. You'll also have to struggle in finding clothes that fits your body type. D. You'll get fear of misgendering based on preferences. So here are some solutions to the problem. A. Representation. When shopping online, seeing clothes on models similar to ourselves helps us connect with the product, which is crucial for an online platform. But for LGBTQ plus individuals, this connection is lacking due to lack of representation and gender inclusive modeling. By including more LGBTQ plus models and promoting gender inclusive modeling and as depicted in our solution, we can bridge this gap. This will provide a sense of connection between the user and also increase visibility, leading to normalization. B. Inclusion. Inclusion means acknowledging and breaking down norms to create a welcoming environment. Now imagine you are a vegetarian who goes to a restaurant only to find a menu is just one long list. Naan comes after paneer, which comes after butter chicken. How inconvenient it would be for you to search your choice of food. To address this problem, we recommend adding an inclusive wear section for easier access and accurate recommendation. This section will also provide a platform for gender inclusive brands to showcase their product without miscategorization. Also providing broader fit description and inclusive terminologies like chest instead of bust. This can help user in making informed decision. Overall impact would not only be enhancing user experience but also delivering a strong message of acknowledgement and support by breaking the binary and providing space and opportunity to explore. But why should we use words such as inclusive and not unisex? As this still implies clothes that can be worn by both men and women, hence giving queer individuals the feeling of having to adjust rather than being included. See, awareness. In today's world of of fast fashion, trends and people want to be part of these latest trends. Platform like Mintra have trend section in the latest styles. However, LGBTQ individuals like Ale rarely sees these trends within their community highlighted outside of Pride Month. We suggest adding segment in the sections showcasing LGBTQ plus trends like shown in our examples. Shimmery suits are in fashion right now. Via this, we promote community building and educating allies too. Additionally, promoting LGBTQ plus owned brands like tailors in this section by providing exclusive space, offering discounts on these inclusive brand as shown in our solution. This would provide this would provide support to the community and provide exposure in a very competitive market. In extension of awareness, every cricket fan every cricket fan has felt Virat Kohli's bat had magic, which would make them a magician too if it landed in their hands. Influencers play the same role in fostering communities and inspiring individuals. However, we noticed the lack of LGBTQ plus influencers on the platform, which has led to this void in inspiring the community for LGBTQ members like Jamie. By promoting more LGBTQ plus influencers, giving them space and support on the platform, by inviting them to join the platform, giving deals and incentives, we create opportunity for community building and brand collaborations with these influencers, fostering a more inclusive ecosystem where users can explore, get inspired, and interact safely. Also benefiting the platform by increased popularity and user base. Both of these features will eventually help in increasing visibility, hence leading to breaking of stereotypes and making the process of normalization more easier and quicker, making the platform more comfortable and relevant for the LGBTQ plus community. Lastly, expression. Fashion has long been a means of expressing emotions and identity. In the status quo, we see there are very few avenues for LGBTQ plus community to get inspired and feel at home. Our AI generated mood board features allows users to create these styles and designs easily. This
Two
feature
minutes left, guys.
is more expressive outlet than just adding products in wish list. It's not only just add products for future purchases but creates a whole inspiration for future looks. You can add products, you can add elements, you can add influencers for your future inspiration. You can also export this vision on social media or share it with your friends. This offers a valuable avenue for the LGBTQ plus community to get inspired and connect with each other and foster a community of creativity. So here's our prioritization. So the prioritization is based on value versus effort framework. Low efforts, high rewards. Shows quick wins. LGBTQ influencers. Utilizing those influencers who are already active and established on social media platform. Trend section. It requires back-end curation and research, but promises high attraction and quick familiarization with the community. High efforts, high impact, major project. Inclusive wear. It involves careful curation of product and brands, significantly enhancing user experience, models, and representation. Hiring diverse model and promoting inclusive modeling can greatly increase product connection and representation. Lastly, our go-to-market strategy would be in pre-launch phase. We will have to do market research for knowing the behavior, fashion preferences, needs of the community. Along with this, we will need to collaborate with brands, inclusive brands and models. Secondly, beta test recruitments are also essential for providing a smooth transition. Also during the launch period, we will have to launch our revamped app on different social media platforms. We'll also heavily encourage users or and invest on giving incentives, giving discounts and promotions on people who interact with the new features and go ahead and purchase these inclusive brands that are promoted by influencers and by on the trend section also.
Time's up,
But
guys.
post
So,
Okay.
wrap quickly. Time's up.
Yes,
Shreya
go
and
for it.
Radhika, if you can quickly, I mean, Shreya and Nishta, if you can quickly wrap up last 30
Yes,
seconds,
sure, sure.
please. Yeah.
Post launch is really very crucial for sustaining the developments that we have made. This could be done by making good connections with activist brands and influencers, but secondly also researching and feedback and iteration is really very important for improvement of features according to the recommendations and needs of the market. With that, we would like to conclude on the note that it is high time for platforms like Mintra to acknowledge, because brands like Nike and Mattel have provided their spaces to promote LGBTQ plus communities. This is not only for extending their user base but also contributing to a larger societal impact. With that, thank you.
Thank you so much, Shreya and Nishta. That was a great presentation. On to Nirat and Radhika for any questions.
I
Yeah.
have one question. So Shreya and Nishtha, did you guys do any market research? I mean, how did you do any user research? Did you speak to some users about this?
Uh,
How sort of did you arrive at, like, crafting your problem statement?
Yes, so we actually we have done primary research by going ahead and interacting with the people of the community. Like there are many of our friends, and with them we have interacted and asked their pain points. Like they have listed that they have to adjust many a times in women's or men's section, is which is the only outlet, because as we have said, offline shopping is even more difficult, but so they have to adjust on these platforms. But secondly also the market research we have done, we couldn't find any major like Agio or brands like Urbanic do not have these features. But we have explored other apps that are other brand websites that are inclusive wear websites, where they promote gender inclusive modeling, which is that a product will be worn by different LGBTQ models, hence giving a more wider perspective for the users about what they would like to wear. So we have the market research that we have done is on the brands that are inclusive wear and their websites. We have explored their website and what is missing from Mintra, what is different from Mintra and their websites, their brand websites.
Approximately how many users would you have spoken to? Customers, users.
Uh, Actually, we have interacted with two of our friends from our surroundings. Those were, one of them is binary and other is, what is this?
Okay, got
The
it.
voice is echoing. On the
Got it.
Mintra platform, the amount of users are around, are not categorized on based of LGBTQ influencers. Customers. We research that they are bifurcated in terms of men and women again, which is 60% of women users are women and 40% are men on the platform.
Right. Thanks. I have a couple of questions, Shreya and Nishta. First of all, thank you very much for putting this together. Clearly, a lot of effort has gone in over the last few weeks for you to do this. I have two or three questions. The first macro question is, in your research, when you were doing this, did you come across any data points that can tell us how big a market opportunity this could be, right? For a company like Mintra, what fraction of their revenue base could this create? Did you do any research? How big is this
Uh,
market for clothing for the LGBTQ population in
we,
India? That's my first question.
we did the research, but actually we didn't added it in the presentation, and so we don't remember the exact numbers. But from the estimation that we can get is that the major user of these platforms are the Gen Zs, right? Those are the new generations who prefer, and therefore the large part of this generation is also coming out and accepting and is liberating in itself, right? So there is around 20% of of this user base going ahead, from the LGBTQ community, and therefore making the app more inclusive for them will ultimately increase the user base.
Okay. Uh, the second question I had was on the value proposition. I found your opening statement to be very, very interesting. You said that, look, a lot of people from the community find it uh, quite a suboptimal experience to go to a market like Sarojini Nagar because they get kind of singled out. So, in your mind, is the primary value proposition of this feature going to be that they actually have privacy, they have a safe environment in which they can search, or is it the selection of clothing that is available to them? Do you think it's the selection as the key value proposition, or just safety and just a safe environment?
I think safety is something that is very crucial to us, because in this nascent, like, if we talk about India, the status quo of India, the online platform, as we have said, is the only platform for them where they feel safe and free of judgment, right? And therefore a major part of our approach is providing that safety and that comfort in using these apps, these platforms. That is the only platform that for them to access. But also, we, as our secondary incentive, it is to give them a broader option so that they don't have to adjust and they can find what they want eventually, like normal users.
Okay. And what do you think are some of the downsides? You mentioned three or four features, right? One is the gender inclusive model. Second is the whole section on inclusive wear. Third is actually having trends, content related to trends, and also influencers. And I think expression and mood boards. And finally, I think you listed out the influencers and the inclusive section. Now, on the so if I were to think about Mintra versus, let's say, a dedicated platform that just carries LGBTQ focused apparel, right? So and there are some small platforms like that that are now growing, right? So what do you think, how should Mintra position itself, right? If this is going to if let's say you're competing, let's say with something like a Be Unique, I don't know if you know of them, if you came across
Yes.
your research. So what would the value proposition be? How would this be different?
This would be different in terms of that already Mintra has a very large user base as a mainstream app, right? And therefore, when you position yourself in a world where you are going ahead and, like in Pride months, many of the companies go ahead and showcase that how they are promoting this, like brands like I have mentioned in my conclusion, that Nike have come up with their and Mattel have come up with their Barbie doll lineup. I think Mintra then has a social impact, right? And this would play in a, not only in expanding the user case, but also in the existing audience, grabbing a foothold where they can go ahead and celebrate their inclusivity and make themselves see as a company that is all not only driven by capitalism but also is driven by of realizing their social responsibility
Okay.
and reaching a larger audience.
Yeah, and lastly, one other question: in your research, did you come across any such examples from even outside of India, where large e-commerce platforms which have a dedicated apparel focus or a very large section focused on apparel? Did you see anything of this sort in your global kind of landscapes research?
Actually, we couldn't because we were primarily focusing on the Indian landscape. But we came across different, like Nike. I researched about Nike, how it's be it what you are. Campaign that that how basketball players coming out, they be true to yourself campaign have forged their image in bringing itself as a brand that realizes its social responsibility, and Mattel bringing up its Barbie doll lineup, not exclusively in the fashion industry because we are majorly focusing upon Indian. Uh,
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Those are all the questions I had. Radhika, any more from you?
No, no, not really. I was very interested to know if you had seen any international panels, but yeah, but I would say great effort. Really like your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shreya and Nishta, for your presentation. We'll quickly move on to our next participant. Nakshi, if you can share the spinner wheel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it visible?
Yes. Okay, so our next participant is Arjun. If you're here, can you raise your hand? Okay, Arjun is here. Hey, Arjun.
Hello, hi. Am I
Hi.
audible?
Yes. Hey, Arjun. So you can start off with a quick intro about yourself to us, and then when you begin your presentation, we'll start the timer.
Okay, I'm Arjun Rana. I'm a third year CSE BTech student at DJ Sangvi College of Engineering in Mumbai. So, can I share my screen now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, greetings to the esteemed judges and the fellow participants. I'm really honored to present my redesign of the HDFC mobile bank app aimed at enhancing the accessibility for the visually impaired. Okay, shall I start?
Yes, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so due to the time constraint, I will quickly go through the deck. This is the product overview, which basically showcases there are 60 million plus registered users of the HDFC Bank, and according to the estimation, if we talk specifically about the Indian market, we can there's an estimation of 8.8 million users which are registered under the HDFC and who have suffered through this any visual impairments. So this is the market analysis. Market analysis also shows us that the HDFC is the largest private sector bank of India, which comprises of the 40% of the market itself. Okay, so these are the competitive analysis. I'll quickly go through the problem statement. How might a widely used banking app like HDFC Bank can be redesigned to better serve users with visual impairments? So, key assumptions here will be focusing on the app's core functionality, such as account management, transactions, bill payment shall remain unchanged. And the redesign should enhance the accessibility for users with visual impairments, but without compromising the app's usability for the sighted users. So these are the user personas. Neha Gupta, who's an housewife. Neha has a mild form of color blindness, which has become more pronounced over the year of time. Rohan Patel, small business owner. Rohan has lost his vision due to a work-related accident. And Adya Sharma, who has been blind since birth. So these are the user journeys and onboarding processes. Okay, so research and understanding. First of all, understanding the problem statement at step. Despite its widespread use, the current HDFC Bank lacks comprehensive accessibility features, creating barriers for the visually impaired users. This segment represents a significant amount or portion of an Indian proportion, and their financial independence is really important. Okay, so user research. To understand the challenges faced by the visually impaired, I conducted various surveys and personal interviews and figure out what are the exactly how many types of visual impairments are there. For example, blindness, low vision, color blindness, etc., etc. And overall, on to conclude the research, overall main challenges faced by these visually impaired users were difficulty reading text, navigating through interfaces, accessing various multimedia, and distinguishing between colors, and time constraint. They may require additional time to complete the certain task due to slow reading speeds. By analyzing how the visually impaired usually go through use their various applications in day-to-day life, I come upon the some various tools that they use in their daily life. First, audio description, magnification, screen reader, text to speech, etc. Okay, so upon the proposed recommendations, I have gathered the information and come upon that my redesign should focuses on implementing comprehensive accessibility features such as audio description, screen reader support, high color contrast, voice recognition, and biometric authentication. Additionally, I propose enhancing the user onboarding experience with a personalized set of options and comprehensive tutorials. Continuous user feedback iterations will ensure that the app remains up to date with the evolving accessibility needs. So let's move on to the feature prioritization. I have used RISE framework here. As you can see that these features are at a high priority. Like for example, the audio description, the screen readers and assistive technology, color contrast, and the integrated voice recognition on the medium side, but they are as equally as important. So these are the some value propositions. Due to the time constraint, I'll quickly go over to the redesigned wireframes. As you can see, this is the earlier model and this is the new model. There's slightly a some huge difference between them, as the new design has better color contrast for the visually impaired. As you can see, there are various color combos like black and white, and which are more favorable to the visually impaired peoples. And icons and fonts are clearly more visible and comprehensive as compared to the earlier one. And there's a more organized utilization of the space. I have introduced a search bar with a voice assistant, which will ease their navigation and ease of their complications.
2 minutes
There's a
left, Arjun.
magnification feature, as we can see, and for the I have relocated some of the features like UPI scanner, home history, main features for the easier and quick access. I have also introduced some features like screen recorders. As we can see, our mobile also has the default screen recording feature like select to speak, talkback, which will help them overall. Voice feedback for visually impaired users are must. Spoken audio for the text content. And there's also another feature is colorblind friendly mode. I have gone through the various applications like various e-games, and McDonald app has this colorblind friendly mode. This mode will provide a more comfortable and accessible banking features for a customer with color vision deficiencies. As you can see, there are various modes among the colorblind friendly also. And upon the, I have also introduced, relocated the biometric fingerprint scanner for the easier access, more suitably for the visual impaired as compared to the earlier one. And there is also, I have introduced a feature like a long hold press will provide a pop-up description with the audio description or textual description for the better understanding of the content or the subject related to it. And our metrics are metrics like accessibility feature usage, user satisfaction, support requests, impaired growth, compliances will measure the redesign success immensely. And moving on to the business impact, by improving the accessibility, HDFC Bank can expand its customer base, enhance brand reputation, and a socially responsible organization, and achieve operational efficiencies to reduce support costs. And it will also strongly develop their brand loyalty brand loyalty and experience, which will overall benefit them in the long term. So, in
Time's up, Arjun. If you can wrap up
I
quickly.
would like to quickly conclude the deck. My redesign prioritizes the inclusivity and powers visually impaired users to independently manage their finance. By embracing accessibility, HDFC can solidify its position as a trusted and preferred digital banking platform for all customers. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Arjun. On to Nirat and Radhika for any questions.
Arjun, who were your user personas based on? Were they actual users, or did you assume,
Uh,
that these
I
could be sort
assume, obviously, assume the name and the information, but I have come across some of the personas that the problems they face are real. Like
of like?
one of my colleagues have this problem of color blindness, and he has explained me that what are the various other apps which have features like the color blindness mode, but the financial, if we talk about specifically fintech in Indian segment, they rarely have this type of features. Like I have quoted the example of McDonald's also. McDonald's app has this feature of color blindness mode,
Mhm.
and I have just about the and like I have mentioned, the Rohan Patel who lost his vision in an accident. Uh, he's transitioning to becoming self-independent. So the features like voice commands and text back will able to ease off his process. And the third one is like since blind since birth, and which clearly can be signified as like she is familiar to the situations, she is familiar to the braille display system and all, but to cater her needs, there we have also I have also focused on the clear voice instructions, and navigation process should be less complex.
Right. And your when you came up with your suggestions, were
Yeah,
they also based on like some interactions and some suggestions by
yeah,
real
yeah,
use?
yeah.
Yeah.
Please complete. Sorry to
I was
interrupt.
no, I was asking you that you've come up with some solutions, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Were those solutions also sort of like influenced by your interactions with you real users? Did you ask them that, hey, how is it that the app could be better? Would redesigning of certain apps or voice assistants or screen readers help you, or was it like secondary research?
No, no. I have researched what does usually visually impaired users feel pain where they are lacking, and I have researched that how the visually impaired people are using the mobile applications or various applications, how they are using in their day-to-day real life, and I come over some of the tools like audio description, magnification, and screen reader. So there's I have implemented these features
Yeah.
into integrated in the HDFC mobile bank.
My question is actually that in the second part of your answer, what you just said that you've given solutions about how they can be implemented. Did, your,
Yeah,
did you come up with solutions by talking to users, or did
yeah,
you
yeah.
come up with solutions by doing secondary research? And by secondary research, I mean by reading a couple of articles, by looking up how all of these things can be improved. Uh, how did you sort of come to
Good.
your answers
Okay,
in terms
so
of
uh, I have just talked to a couple of people belonging to the visually impaired community, but to be honest, 80% of the data is from the secondary sources. But I
okay,
have also talked to few of them, so they were also saying the same as I have searched in the secondary research.
got it. Thanks, Arjun. It was a very good presentation.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Krishna, I can maybe come in with a couple of questions. So first of all,
Okay.
thanks very much for putting this together. I found the fact that you started with the macro view of how much of a market size this might be, that was really useful. Also, the fact that you did not think about visual impairment as just one homogeneous kind of condition, but you broke it down into multiple sub conditions, right? Or including color blindness. I thought that was very nice. Some of the solutions that you've also put, things like larger kind of scanners, biometric scanners, even the color blind mode, I think those actually would work quite nicely for certain categories of visual impairment. My question is around, so a lot of the stuff that you've described is about accessibility on the app itself, right? And then there are other tools that get used by people who are who are blind, 100% blind. So Google Assist and so on. What I was hoping to get a little bit of, and maybe you can share with me if you thought about these things, are the off app transactions, right? So let's say many interactions on the app might require an SMS OTP to be sent, right? Now, how
Yeah.
does if you are blind, how do you sort of think about those things? Similarly, if you actually have talkback modes, if you are in a public place and it is talking back, it's actually a huge problem of privacy, right? When that thing is being read out to you, for instance. And similarly, there are transactions which are very high value, right? So somebody's making a transfer of a couple of lakhs, or is making an investment in a certain mutual fund to the app. Now, not all transactions are equally risky. Some are very risky because of the value of money in that transaction. So, how do you think about differential features to ensure safety and to reduce errors in those transactions? So question is, one, how do you think about off-platform stuff, OTPs and so on? Number two, how do you think about privacy risk when it came to public space uses, even when there's somebody around you? And number three, how do you think about high transaction kind of risks and what one can do about that? I think we lost him.
I think we lost him.
Yeah.
I'll just text him if he's. Okay, he's here. Yeah, Arjun, can you hear us now?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry for the inconvenience. My Wi-Fi just
Sorry
switched to
for it.
me.
Uh, no worries. Did you get my questions, Arjun? Should I repeat them, or you understood what I was saying?
Uh, I didn't got the last part you were saying.
Yeah, basically, how do you think about some off-app kind of processes, right? The OTP coming to you, how do you sort of make it more accessible? How do you think about use of this app in public spaces when there are people around you? Or even, let's say, when you're sitting with some people, if you're relying on things like talkback, how do you think about that? And finally, how do you think about high-value transactions and the differential kind of safety features for those? I think his Wi-Fi is acting up. So should
Yeah.
we move on to he can maybe just drop us the response on chat.
Okay, that works. That works. Arjun, maybe you can just drop your response to Nirat and Radhika on chat. We'll move on to the next participant. Nakshi, if you can share the wheel.
Okay.
Mehek, you're next. If you can raise your hand and come to the stage. Okay. Hi, Mehek.
Hey, hello, hello. I think I'm audible.
Yeah, you're audible.
And I'm visible too.
Yes.
Yes, hi Meg.
Right. Hello, hello, Nirat. Hello, Radhika. So, a bit about me is that I am currently in my third year of BTech, and my name is Mehak, which you already know, and I am current, and I have done a UI UX internship before this, and currently I'm kind of unemployed. That's why, and yeah, that is all about me. I will move on to the presentation now. Um, Let me just present.
Yeah, as soon as you start, we'll start the timer. So you can take it.
Um, I am really sorry if I go like a bit overboard with time, right?
Okay, but try to keep it within 7. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you
I have my own timer, but if I just go with time, I'm really sorry.
no worries, no worries.
Okay.
You can start. Yeah.
So I'll be starting the presentation now. Right. So the problem statement that we're discussing today is that what improvements can be made to a leading fashion e-commerce platform like Myntra to create a better experience and value for users belonging to the LGBTQIA plus community, right? So we get some key takeaways from this problem statement. That is, this community feels a lack of inclusivity and representation, and they do not find much value in the platform like Myntra. We also understand that there are some barriers to the engagement of these users. As you know, we all have this one app in our phones that we never open, right? So we don't want Myntra to be that kind of app in the phone in the phones of these users, right? And we also see that there are some negative user experiences which we'll explore more about in the user journey. And then we can also see that there are some all of this can is creating a negative impact on the user satisfaction and the loyalty, right? Moving to, because of the time crunch, moving straight away to the user personas and the people who we should take a deep dive into, and people who are making we are kind of redesigning this app, or improving this app on, right? First of all, we have Maya. She's a trans woman, right? Her pronouns are she and her. A bit about Maya is that she's going through a transition phase right now from being a man to become a woman, right? And some of the pain points she individually experiences is that she can't find her size, because again, she's transitioning and she's looking for some womanly clothes, but her size, for example, shoulders are kind of still broad, right? And none of the conventional sizes for women attire do not really like fit her, right? And then another pain point that she experiences is that she cannot see herself in the clothes that the models with the perfect bodies are wearing, which makes her feel demotivated to buy them, and also feel bad about her own identity here, right? Then next up we have Alex. Alex, they use pronouns they and them, and their gender orientation is non-binary, right? So they basically some of the pain points they experience is that they want to dress in a non-gender conforming clothes, right? They want something that's unisex, because but they do not but they feel really frustrated while finding them in this pile of clothes that Myntra app is, right? So they feel very frustrated there. And second pain point that they feel is that they look at the lifestyle section and then they cannot find products for themselves, right? We can we'll this will get more to when we'll see the user journey, right? When we'll look at the user journey, right? Then next up we have Samir, who is whose gender orientation is gay, and his pronouns is he and him, right? Some of the pain points he experiences that he doesn't really feel empowered, uh, as he cannot see people from his community in the fashion industry who are much of influence, and he's really tired of the brands showing tokenistic marketing while the Pride month, when in real the product that they're selling has no real impact on the lives of the people from the LGBTQIA plus community, right? So these are the pain points that I found in these users, right? And we'll try to solve them in the next parts of our slides, right? This is the user journey. As you can see, that we can see like there is there's not a unisex filter for a unisex clothing option here, and and it's very very valid for people like Alex to feel demotivated, because they have to find this one cloth that fits their entity into this big pile of app, right? Then next up we can see that next up we can see that there is no a representation of a queer model, right? These are the models with perfect bodies, and and our users cannot relate with them, right? We also see that there is a sizing option where transition individuals who are transitioning cannot find themselves, right? The sizes that they want cannot find here, they cannot find here, right? And on the even in the onboarding, the gender, they ask for options. They have only two options for the gender, right? Where people who are transgender and non-binary feel that they do not even exist, because at this point, you're not getting an option to even identify yourself, right? And there's no mention of pronouns, that's so very far, right? Then next up we have the lifestyle section, where we cannot see any product targeted to the queer community. So these are the problems that we identify in the user journey, and we're trying to solve them here, right? So the first solution that we have is increasing the gender options here, right? We can just also add a section where they can basically write their own gender orientation here, right? We can also ask for the pronouns. Now, how will this create an impact, right? This is the first interaction these LGBTQIA plus users have with the platform, right? And this and this make them this first interaction can we can in this first interaction we can make them feel included and welcomed and respected in their own skin, where which is going to help us retain them in the future, right? Then we have our second solution, that is
Mehek, 2 minutes left.
okay. Then we have our second solution, that is a unisex clothing filter. We can add a filter for people like Alex to not feel lost in the whole entirety of the app, and can find whatever they're looking for easily. Then our solution 3 is basically adding in inclusive sizes for trans individuals who are transitioning, and have more sizing options, making them feel comfortable in the skin, and we can acknowledge their difficulties, which will make them loyalists of the app, right? And they will obviously buy more from the app, right? Then our solution 4 is actually creating a completely different space for the LGBTQI plus designers, influencers, and the users. Here we are providing them with a sense of community that they're lacking, and there is a feeling of belongingness that we are giving them, and we're giving them reasons to come back to this app, right? They can see people like them being influencers in the mainstream. We can also provide them with the designers from the community a platform to showcase their talent, right? This place will also have some features like exclusive coupons, which is only viable for the people who are belonging from this community. And you can have an interactive content like stories. The influencer can put up the outfits of the day and the fashion tips on these screens, right? Then the solution 5 is including lifestyle products that are targeted towards the queer community. Something is that for example, a breast tape. Most non-binary people like to tape their breasts because they do not want to conform to this one gender. So that is and that is very less accessible here. So we can bridge the gap and make this more accessible for people from this community, right? And next up, we are basically
Time's up. You can just make it
I'm
fast.
sorry, yeah, I'll just wrap it up. So next up, we have feature prioritization. We are using impact versus effort framework, where 1 is the extremely low and 5 is extremely high impact. We can see the top 3 solutions that we feel that we can develop into the Mintra app. Is that first of all is the unisex filter. It is having a high impact, and it is of a very low effort. Then next up we have onboarding inclusivity, having a final score of 1.33. This is also something that will create a high impact. Then the community space, it is also a high impact and high effort feature, but yeah, it will create great value to the platform. Then we have a go to marketing strategy, and lastly we can measure our successes through user engagement metric, where we can track the average daily active LGBTQIA plus users. And we can also track it by the measure of the percentage increase in the LGBTQIA user base, that is each day logging into the platform. Yeah, with that, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mehek, for the presentation.
Nirat, Radhika, any questions?
Thanks, Mehek, for the presentation. I just have one question that, the effort and the output slide, if you could go back to it,
Yeah.
uh, how did you draw up the matrix? Was there certain things that you put in consideration
Um,
while deciding?
okay, so these are a few things that we have to integrate into the app, right? And so as I've known that creating a wait a second. Yes, so as I know that creating a different space altogether into the app is a very high effort thing. But I also know that this community space is going to give a lot of belongingness to these people who already lack representation and already lack so much inclusivity, that it's going to be of very high value to the LGBTQIA plus users. So that's how I derive the impact and effort. I know that creating a different space altogether into an existing running app is a big commitment, and a lot of efforts are going to go into this. So these are the few. So, and again, unisex filter. I can see there are filters for kurtis. I can see there are filters for skirts. There are filters for all small variants of clothes. So I understand that the effort used in this is pretty less, and the impact can be of a pretty high value to a person like Alex, right? The user persona that I've created. So yeah, so these are all like the experiences, and also these are all the features that I've talked about to the people with whom help I've created the user personas.
Uh, yeah, great. Thanks. I think that answers.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mehak, thanks for putting this together. I found it a very well structured presentation. Also, you were sort of expressing yourself with great sort of passion. So clearly, you went deep into this. Also, like how for the different personas, you actually were able to specify the different problems that they face and so
Yeah.
on. I liked also your piece about the onboarding piece was very very good to see. Also, the piece around lifestyle, even though in your final analysis that came out low, I personally felt that was a very good kind of
Yeah,
feature.
absolutely.
It kind of rounds it out nicely. I have a question for you on the way you think this could go to market, right? Which was not covered. Like how, if so, what do you think would need to come first? Do you think one would actually need to source a lot of brands who actually make this clothing first and then do a big push, or do you think and actually maybe even cultivate such brands which then could get aggregated on the platform on Mintra for this, or do you think there is already enough there on the platform right now, which just needs to be recategorized through these kinds of filters? That's my first question. Does this require
All right.
new onboarding of brands to take place and then clothing kind of SKUs to happen? That's and the second question is: do you see anything, uh, any off-platform process that needs to be different on this? So let's say one is choosing and buying on the app, but all the stuff after this, right? Delivery or even let's say returns, would
Mm.
that need to work differently?
Okay, all right. So I'll answer the first thing. The first question, and let me just reiterate, is that should we just go ahead and push all of it together, and or should we just like take some time and like prioritize? So I think at that point, the prioritization that I have done is comes into handy, right? Because if you see the the topmost feature that we are prioritizing here is the unisex filter, right? Which is of very low effort. It is ranked like 2. That is a very low effort feature, right? So we can change this feature and we can push the whole thing out, right? In the first iteration of changes that we can do, like we can create a whole roadmap where we are releasing the one beta version where we are
Sorry,
basically
my
changing
question
one
was
thing.
slightly different. My question was not that. My question was, let's say if we have this whole section, you used a filter, right? The unisex filter that you
Yeah,
created. Now, do
yeah.
you think there is already enough clothing on Mintra right now? It just needs to
Mhm.
be recategorized, right? It just
Yeah,
needs to this tag just need, or do you think they would need to actually procure new brands, new cloth SKUs with that kind of fit? What do you think needs to happen
Okay,
first?
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So, first of all, first thing would be to recategorize into, if we're talking specifically about unisex filter, there are already some clothes that that fit the non-binary criteria of, like, dressing up, right? So you just need to recategorize it, because if you had heard in the user personas also, when I was explaining the case of Alex, they were frustrated because they have to waste a lot of time on the app, and this pile of clothes, and they have to find something that fit them, right? Fit their personality and fit their identity. So that problem will be solved by just restructuring some clothes into this one filter called unisex filter, where they can just they can just open and they can find things that is non-gender conforming, and that will save them a lot of time and a lot of frustration. So that is the first step, and then we can collaborate. And then when if we are creating a community space, we are obviously collaborating with the designers who are designers who are from the LGBTQIA plus community, and because they are from that community, they understand their problems in a better way than we and you that we people on the outside understand, right? So at that point, we can bring in more designers like that, and we can integrate with them, and we can sell their designed clothes on the app, right? So but in the first place, we can start with recategorizing things, and then we can move on to partnering with other brands and apps.
Okay. And anything about the second question about the off-platform stuff?
Yeah. The off platform, I didn't really get outside of the platform, because again, Mintra's dealings all of them really just happen on the app, right? And the delivery process and everything else is kind of very similar, and so it doesn't really like, I've talked to the users, and they feel that the delivery process doesn't have like a real no real problems as such.
Okay.
Mm.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks, Mehak. Thanks very much for your presentation.
Okay, thank you, Mehak, for that. We have last two teams left. Nakshi, if you can share the wheel.
Yes, Mehak, can you please stop presenting?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dharunesh.
Yeah, Sujan and Tarunesh, if you can raise your hands. Hi, Sujan. Hi, Tarunesh.
Hi, can you see me?
Hello.
Not yet.
Just give me a second. Yeah,
Yeah, we can see you both.
yeah, sure.
Hi, Sujan. Hi, Dharnesh.
Yeah, hello.
Hi everyone. Hi.
Hi.
So,
Yeah,
anyways,
you can intro
yes,
yourself. Yeah.
sure. So, I'm Sujan. I recently graduated from IIT Madras, and I'm currently working at a strategy role at Founder's Office and at a PropTech startup. I'm quite interested in product and design, and really excited for the demo day.
Yeah. I'm Dharunesh. I'm also graduate from IIT Madras and working as a business analyst. And yeah, really excited for the presentation.
Yeah.
Okay, you can go ahead and present your screen, and we'll start the timer when you guys start your
Yes.
presentation.
Yeah, you can see my presentation, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Hi everyone. Before jumping into our solution, let me take you through a situation. Just imagine that you're going going on a street which is unfamiliar place during late night, and the only companions that you have are street dogs. Sounds very scary, right? Yes, it is. And we are here to solve those problems that delivery partners face during late night deliveries. And let's get started. So to just start, I'll just quickly introduce Swiggy. So the basic vision of Swiggy is to change the way the India eats. And these are the services that Swiggy offer. One is Swiggy Delivery Service, Swiggy Dynot, Instamart, and Genie. And here are some of the interesting statistics about Swiggy delivery operations. They currently have around 3 lakh plus delivery partners, and around 1,500 of them are women delivery partners. Yeah, jumping right into the problem statement. So the as the problem statement is, what are the features that can be added to Swiggy to make late night deliveries safer, especially for women? So the essentials that we have considered are, by women we mean both women customers and women delivery partners. But the first question: why does this problem need to be solved right now? So over the last 2 years, the report of Swiggy, we found out that 82.4% late night orders has been increased, and in a day, over about 10% of the orders are late night orders, which are basically orders after 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. And but are women interested? Yeah, we got to know that hiring in logistics segment and delivery segment have been increased, especially for women, and women are actually showing interest. So solving this problem not only helps Swiggy manage the delivery supply, demand and supply, but also can help women earn incentives at late night deliveries. So these are the quickly going to the user personas. First is Sarah, a software engineer who is living in Gurgaon. So her pain points are majorly concerned during the customer and delivery partner interaction, whereas Mania, the Swiggy delivery partner who is working, so her pain points usually lie around during the trip, and often around during the customer and delivery partner interaction. We'll deep dive into the problems in the later slides. So now, Dharinesh, if you can talk about the user journey.
Yeah, thank you, Sujan. This is a typical user journey the delivery partner will face, starting from delivering one order until the next order gets assigned. So we have listed some pain points at each stages that a delivery partner will face during late night deliveries, and we will go through those pain points in our further slides. Jumping into our solutions, let's go through Swiggy's current measures and offerings. So Swiggy doesn't allow women delivery partners to deliver after 6 p.m. That is one. And delivery partner can reject any order if they feel that the area is too far or unsafe. And Swiggy allows to block user that who misbehaves with the delivery partners, and customer and Swiggy mask both customer and the delivery partner numbers with each other. And Swiggy also offers a medical emergency insurance for delivery partners. And also there are some gaps needs to be addressed. So these are some gaps. Safety during customer and delivery partner interactions, a place to stay after delivering one order until next order gets assigned, and riding along to a place in the late night, and taking inefficient and unsafe routes. Yeah. Sujan, you can.
So yeah, now that we got to know the pain points, so we'll just tell about our features and how exactly we are addressing the pain point. So the first pain point is like, after one delivery, it is quite unpredictable to know when will the next order be assigned. It can take typically from 5 minutes to maybe 1 hour. It is quite unknown. So what we wanted to know is like, it is quite hard to stay at a place during late night until the order is assigned. So why not use our Instamart stores and highlight them as safe zones? And these Swiggy delivery partners can actually head to the safe zone during the late night deliveries. It not only helps them for waiting, but also they can take rest or maybe use for emergencies like washrooms and all. So this is the first feature that we worked on, and here are the KPIs. The key performance indicators is basically how frequently the women, especially the delivery partners and women, are actually using the safe zone feature. The second is like the safety rating of the specific Instamart store or the safe zone. So it can ensure us that it can help us to. Sorry, is my voice echoing? Yeah. Uh, Moving on, our second solution is late night route optimization. Currently, Swiggy uses the Google Maps API, which often gives the best route based on the quickest time reaching. But during late night, the traffic will be very minimal, and almost all the routes, using all the routes, you can reach to the destination in almost same time. But our feature enables us to recommend the safest route by considering these parameters: well lit, less density of street dogs, and less crime rate. So,
Guys, 2 minutes left.
how exactly we are going to get the data? How exactly we are going to get the data for this is basically by partnering with any mapping service like Map My India or some other, and also from prototype we'll be asking our delivery partners about the about the safeness of the route. So from their input, we'll try to optimize our algorithm to such a way that recommend the safer routes. And the KPIs that will be that are is basically average safety rating. So as the time moves on, the average safety routing that we suggest should be increased. So, and the third feature is from the perspective of a customer actually. So the only touch point with the delivery partner for the customer is only during the interaction or whenever they're receiving the order. So what we thought is like often during late nights, it is quite common to have a sense of doubt whether the person who has actually come has been appointed by Swiggy or like are the one who actually are the one who is actually from Swiggy. So what we thought is like maybe ask our delivery partner to put a biometric verification such a way that we'll notify the user that yeah the person who has come to deliver you has actually from Swiggy side, and yeah, and our Swiggy HR people actually hired him because he is safe. So and these are the KPIs for the for this feature. So basically, we'll try to understand how many biometric completions have been finished by the delivery partner. And moving on to the
Okay.
fourth solution, Dinesh.
Yeah. So coming to the fourth feature, currently there is no monitoring from Swiggy for a delivery that are taking longer than expected time until the customer reacts to that order. So the time to react here is quite long in case of any accidents. So with our solution, whenever there is no movement, we will display an UI. So you acknowledge any one of the option. So when if user acknowledge that if it is nothing, no action will be taken, and if he clicks on need help, our Swiggy support team will alert, and if no action for need help, then in case of no action, automatic call will be made asking for the safety.
Time's up, guys. Please do it
Uh,
fast.
can you just give us 2 more minutes? We'll just wrap it up, or a minute. Okay.
These are the key performance indicators. And voice recording, whenever a delivery partner goes to a delivery location, often they worry about the customer, how the customer reacts and behaves. Similarly, vice versa. And this is how it works. Once
Dhanesh,
the
I'll
delivery
take over from here, maybe. And in this feature, there will be voice command trigger where the delivery partner can use help Swiggy voice trigger whenever they don't have access for their phone to actually trigger the SOS. And this is the sixth feature, which is companion riding. So which helps us to map the customer, especially whenever the delivery partner is new, they might hesitate to go to deliver during late nights. So they can request for a companion, and the companion will be mapped based on this, and these people can deliver it, and the incentives will be shared by both of them. And our prioritization is basically based on similar to RISE framework, but instead of impact, we are trying to understand how much threat level drop is there. And these are some other operational solutions that Swiggy can implement, which are basically cashless payments after 10 p.m. and women only specific support team for women and self-defense training. And yeah, this is the roadmap on how the solution can be implemented. And yeah, coming to metrics, the major North Star metric is to understand how safe do our employees feel, which is employee NPS rating, and the other following response time and non-genuine cases percentage. So coming to the pitfalls, there are whenever there is safety, there is also high chance of non-genuine cases. So few pitfalls that we might face is like not all delivery partners might be equipped with fingerprint scanner and all. So because of that, like we'll ask them to use either a facial, at least like a camera, because every mobile must be having a camera at least. So these are some of the pitfalls that we feel are there in the current solutions provided. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sujan and Tanish. I think that was a very interesting presentation. Nirat, Radhika, any questions for them?
Radhika, you want to go first?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Sujan and Dharnesh, very, very interesting presentation. Thank you so much. I had one question. So, you when you started out, you also saw this from like a delivery, a customer's sort of a point of view. I'm guessing you did not have a chance to explore how can late night delivery be better for women customers, right?
Sorry, I'm not able to hear you properly actually. There's some noise. Dharesh, can you switch off your mic once?
Tarunesh, can you mute? I think there's some issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Radhika, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Can you please
Yeah, I
can you
don't know
repeat the
why my
question?
microphone access just randomly went. Yeah, but thank you. Very great presentation. My question to you is that when you started out, you also had like a woman customer there, and there were also safety issues there. But as you progress, I think it was just about making safety features for delivery executors. Were you able to also understand pain points for and I mean, I know that you touched upon it, but understand deeply about pain points for women customers? My first question is that.
Okay.
And second, have you thought about how I mean, can you elaborate a little bit more about how, business becomes better when Swiggy makes late night deliveries safer for their delivery partners as well?
Sure. Actually, yeah. Those are some interesting questions actually. So the first to answer the first question, yes, I mean like we also thought about women customers actually, but while understanding the user journey from the women customer perspective, we only thought the pain point lies only during the interaction actually. So that is why what can be done so that this interaction can be made more safer. And propose the solutions. We have two solutions currently. The first solution is biometric verification of delivery partner and also voice command trigger. So we'll make sure that during this conversation, if at all, if anything goes out of hand, like people can using this feature, they can the alert will be triggered and the emergency services can be activated. But yeah, this is the only pain point that we thought of. But yeah, if there are any, I love to hear actually. Yeah, and answering your second question, the business impact. So here in the business impact, we are trying to create a more inclusive atmosphere where women delivery partners can also join Swiggy. And if at all, if we talk about the women empowerment, so Swiggy can actually give more. Just give me a minute. Huh. So I like to say two things. First is like the women empowerment, and the second thing is like the demand that is increasing during late nights can be captured using these features. And the third thing is like there is some statistic which specifies that women can actually women has better rate in terms of completing the task than men actually. So maybe because of that, it can also help them increase the higher order completion rate.
Yeah. That's great, Sujan and Dharnesh. Thank you for your presentation. I found it very, very well structured. I think you covered both sides, and I also quite like the solutions that you've kind of listed. I have a couple of questions. Just if you've thought through some of these things, right? So,
Yes, sure.
let's say so some of these things can be done by Swiggy or a company like Swiggy independently, but some of these will also require ecosystem coordination, right? And Swiggy may not be the best organization or any one. For instance, do you see any role for partnerships with a Google Map, right, where this almost becomes like a public good that benefits not just Swiggy but everyone else, right? If you sort of look, especially because if you look at if you want to predict what is safe, what is not safe, you need a lot of data points, right? And just in one private network, you may not have enough data to actually come up with good actual good categorization. You'll get a lot of false positives, lots of false negatives. So my first question is, what do you think about just the role of partnerships in something of this sort? So why don't you answer that, and I have one more question after that.
Sure, actually. So, do you want me to answer the partnership role in only this specific feature or in some other?
Or generally speaking, right? So let's say one is the partnership for this feature you can use with somebody like a Google Map, or let's say what's the partnership that one can have with even the police, right? Or let's say I found your co-rider thing quite interesting, and there are some innovations that are happening right now with where these delivery fleets are being used to provide first aid. What is the role of a peer-to-peer kind of a partnership there, right, where you can actually augment safety? So yeah, just the role of partnerships overall for something of this sort.
Sure, actually, yeah. So if I'm not wrong, Uber is actually partnered with some organization in United States. I'm not sure whether they are doing it in India or not. So this feature inspiration, where no movement check, is actually came from Uber and Rapido. So where they have a partnership. They have partnered with some third party call center kind of security agency, where they'll call the rider if they where they'll call the passenger if they feel unsafe, and then they'll try to understand the situation and help them out. So similar to that can also be implemented instead of our Swiggy delivery, or instead of we implementing our own Swiggy support center, to make sure the no movement check genuine cases percentage can be increased. And the second thing is like, if I have to talk about the route optimization, maybe, yeah, as you mentioned, it is not, Swiggy can't or may not be able to do the entire thing. It is often required, and I saw some of the mapping services actually. One of them is Map My India, and other I cannot remember, but getting data from these might help us understand and take more parameters. So the parameters that we currently suggested, less crime rate on the less trade-off density and more well lit, are actually the parameters that we thought might be useful more during the late night deliveries. And yeah, we might have missed few, but yeah, love to know if at all if there are any. And yeah, that's it.
Uh-huh. And did you sort of I like the way you thought about this. I think a feature is also quite interesting. Did you think about my second question is, how do you actually build knowledge in these models over time, so where things become better? So a lot of these features were very snapshot in time, right? That look, you solve this problem right now, but how do you capture the data from that interaction to make to lead to better safety outcomes in the future, right? So have you thought about how all of this would stack up over time?
I have one simple explanation maybe to cite out. Let me just quickly draw some route. For example, if you can see this, there are two maps, there are two routes from the destination A to D. And the first route can be A, B, C, D. Just give me a minute. The first route can be A, B, C, D, and the second route can be A, E, F, D. So we're trying to understand what are the common points whenever we are suggesting the routes, and over the time we'll be able to dissect the routes that we have suggested into understanding which specific route of this entire journey is actually unsafe. So if that answers, if I'm not wrong, yeah.
Yeah, I think we can also ask other delivery partners who already delivered to that area to provide some feedback about that route.
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, how do you define risk, right? Is the journey the source of risk, or is the customer the source of risk for the delivery partner? So yeah, but all of that we can discuss. But great presentation. Thank you for putting this effort. Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sujan and Darunesh. That was a great presentation. Yeah, you can. Yeah, stop sharing. Okay, so we'll move on to our final participant, Mavish. I'll just call him on stage. Hi, Mavish.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Nirat.
Yes. Hi, Mavish. Yeah, you can just give us a quick introduction and then begin your presentation.
Sure. So my name is Mahesh. I work at Hindustan Times currently as a category manager. I am trying to move to product, and that's why participated on this Teardown. So yeah, I mean that's it from me. I'll keep pressing my screen just a second.
Yeah. Navish, your audio is a little faint. Can you try and maybe speak a little louder?
Sure, just a second. Maybe it's because of my fan. I'll switch it off. Give me a second. I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah.
Great. So thank you, the judges, for giving me this opportunity to present my ideas in front of you. So the problem statement that I've chosen is to redesign the SDFC mobile app to better serve users with visual impairments. I've seen my grandfather struggle to use his mobile independently, and having to rely on his grandchildren usually for even the most common tasks such as making a call, right? So why does such a simple and menial task turns into a monumental task for someone just because they have low vision? But answering this question demands another question: why even build for the visually impaired? So there are two main reasons. First is that there is a significantly large population of visually impaired users in India, around 7.4 crore people, which is more than the entire population of Singapore. And these people are often an afterthought when building products. That should not be the case, because that's what brings us to the second reason. Building for disabled people means you are making the app easy to use for all of your users. So now we know why we should build for visually impaired users. But what does it mean by better serving users? It's a very vague term, right? So I've
Navish, are
considered
you
that.
moving your slides? Because we are not able to see.
Uh,
Yeah, now we can see the slide.
I'm not sure why. Just a second.
Yeah, now it's visible.
Okay. Okay. Maybe some problem with the internet. I'm sorry. If it doesn't move again, please let me know. So what does it mean by better serving users? I've considered that we'll measure this by measuring the percentage increase of visually impaired MAUs. How will we track who is visually impaired and who is not? So no extra effort is needed here. SDFC already does this at the time of opening a new account. Why are users using SDFC app in the first place? Two primary reasons. One is to check their bank balance, and second is to transfer money. We'll be solving for these two reasons, and other actions have been deprioritized. And for the product outcomes we are solving for, the product outcomes we are solving for is to check the increase in service requests for these two objectives. So there are multiple types of visual impairments. There's blurred vision, color blindness, moderate to high vision loss. For each of these impairments, I checked how users can use SDFC app. So some problems are solved very well using Android accessibility features. I also came to an understanding that there is low or no compatibility for users with low vision and legal blindness. So we will prioritize for solving that. A typical user persona would look like a Pooja Makhane, who is legally blind, moderately proficient in technology, and wants to independently manage her finances. I role-played as a Pooja in a hypothetical context where she uses the app in talkback mode, which is an accessibility feature in Android phones. She wants to transfer some money to her sister Radhika, but faces a lot of challenges. The app's compatibility with existing accessibility features on Android is pretty bad. In fact, it is so dismal for people like Pooja that after one point, the app just refuses to allow Pooja to proceed independently, at which point she loses her confidence and has to rely on her son to complete the transaction. The problems that Pooja faces can be bucketed into three stages: authentication, navigation, and confirmation. While solving for these problems, we also have to keep in mind that because Pooja can't see, there are some constraints as to how she can interact with the app. We have to work around these constraints to take her input, to signify when she can perform any action, and to give feedback for her actions. Here is a list of non-exhaustive solutions for each of the stages. Some solutions are very easy to implement, like ensuring proper content structure, adding the right tags, and removing pop-ups. Like, why do you even have to put up pop-ups when you know that when the user is visually impaired? And some solutions are technologically possible but practically difficult, like a screen that can read your fingerprint anywhere you touch it. And some solutions lie in a spectrum between these 2 points. So for the presentation, I've considered a scenario where we implement 4 such solutions together and how that experience will be like for Puja. So these are face authentication, voice controlled navigation, screen tap and audio password, and audio and haptic feedback. For voice controlled navigation, we are using Rabbit R1 as an inspiration, where we need to train the model to understand the interface of the app, how users navigate through it, and the intention of the users when they say something, and then syncing this interface with our intention to create a seamless experience. When the user opens the app, they choose to log in with biometrics. So instead of Pooja having to waste time to locate where the fingerprint sensor is, the app auto detects her face and the app is unlocked. Because the app knows that Pooja is visually impaired, it auto activates the voice controlled mode. Once this mode is activated, Ask Eva, the assistant in SDFC app, greets Pooja and requests for input. Each voice input requires Pooja to touch and hold the screen while talking. So it's like a radio without having to say over again and again. Transfer rupees 15,000 to my sister Radhika, Pooja says. System takes the input, extrapolates to fill some gaps, and confirms with Pooja whether this extrapolation is correct and if it can proceed. Once confirmed, Pooja is asked to re-authenticate herself. Instead of having to open the keyboard and struggle to find characters or numbers to quickly authenticate herself, the app does some processing in the background, and then there is an audio and haptic confirmation of the transaction, whether it is a success or a failure. And this is how Pooja can now quickly and independently do her financial transactions.
2 minutes left, Manish.
We have some leading and lagging metrics to measure success and course correct where required. One great impact of this solution on SDFC's business is that it can be a differentiator for SDFC to serve the needs of all visually impaired users. There are a lot of ways the solution can fail. There can also be some social and technical hurdles for adoption. We need to think them through and prepare mitigation plans or fallbacks. And I've suggested here some of the mitigation plans. And with this, I end my presentation. Happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you so much, Mavish. Nirat, Radhika, any questions?
Thanks, Mavish. Very good presentation. Could you take us through the mitigation steps? I wanted to understand.
Sure, just a second. So there are a couple of pitfalls when we want to implement the solution. First is that because this is very technologically innovative, so there is initial product development required. So what we can do to mitigate this is that we can use OpenAI voice API to save time and test whether this is working or not. And if it is successful, then we can invest in our own proprietary technology to make this into a complete solution. Then there can be a language or accent challenge from the point of the user, that maybe they only speak Marathi, maybe they only speak Tamil. And for this, we have to first start with a preferred language and test a small group of people. And once we, identify problems, rectify them, and then we scale one by one to other languages. But one major thing that can be a hurdle is that when the user wants to first start using this feature, initial permissions might be required. So, for example, the app can request the access for mic, for some notifications, and for this, if Pooja rejects these permissions, then the feature will have to, might not work. It will have to ask for permissions again and again. Being less tech savvy, maybe the user doesn't understand why these permissions are required, and that's why a human intervention is necessary for registration and setup. This might not work seamlessly in a noisy environment. So apart from voice, we can add options for users to input actions with taps or swipes or shakes. Solution might not be compliant with RBI guidelines. So here I'm not sure exactly what the RBI guidelines are, but we'll have to ensure compliance through effective implementation. One last thing is that the tap and audio password feature might be hacked very easily. If I see someone tapping a number of times and saying some words, I know what is the password, right? So here we can augment security by using voice signature authentication, so that only Pooja, when she wants to authenticate herself, is able to do so.
Great.
Radhika, does that answer? Does that cover all the points?
Radhika, you have any questions?
I think Radhika got disconnected, Nirat.
Okay. Yeah, so I can come in. Mevish, thanks for putting this together. I think I just want to make sure I understand your solution well. What you're saying is essentially a voice-based process which uses AI to for the app to infer the intention a little bit, and then also maybe move around the controls, and then a constant layer of biometric authentication, right? So it's a the voice plus some other kind of biometric fingerprint or something, possibly face. That's basically the idea, right?
So a constant verification of voice is might be very taxing for technologically.
Yeah.
My idea was to re-authenticate the user when required, and this re-authentication can use a voice signature authentication. The idea here was that we have an interface like ChatGPT, but
Yeah.
which has the backend of Rabbit R1, so that users can interact with SDFC app and complete the transactions instead of having to click through the entire app.
No, I really like the fact that you thought out of the box and a very different kind of user journey. There are examples, there are analogs of something of this sort in other domains for different kinds of disabilities for the elderly. So I think my question to you is, which kinds of transactions on the app do you think lend themselves to this process, and what kinds of things would a user not be able to do on the app through an interaction like this, right? So obviously transferring money to somebody you already know, that's or maybe checking account balances, those kinds of things are somewhat straightforward. Do you imagine that this would become difficult? This would not lend itself to slightly more complex interactions on the app?
I think the biggest challenge here will be registrations, because the user has to input their user ID. I'm forgetting exactly what, but there is some ID and then there is some password, right? Without being able to interact with the keyboard, this might be a challenge, and that's why human intervention is required. Number one. Number two, when I'm trying to transfer money to someone I don't know, then I have to register that person, gives in details, bank details, and all of that person. I think that might be a challenge. It can be time consuming if not impossible, but that is something that I see might be difficult. Um,
Have you thought about things like customer service on the app? How would a person? Is there something different you would do? Let's say if you want to engage with HDFC Bank customer service through the app, something's gone wrong. You want to know how would that work in this situation?
Sure. So when we want to engage with customer service on SDFC app, there is only one. So if you're talking about engaging in the app, there's only one option. It is to use their chatbot assistant, Ask Eva. The proposal or the solution is intended to give voice to Ask Eva so that the user can interact with voice. Other ways for customer service is that the app gives us an email and a phone number that I can call to. I have to click on it and then call and talk to a customer service representative. So I think one problem is solved. The calling and the emailing feature might be out of scope for this solution.
Yeah, is there any privacy risk you see? Let's say when you engage with the customer service through this kind of an interface.
I think one important risk that might be is that because I cannot see right, I do not know which number is being dialed and whether I'm talking to the right person or not. In case someone injects a wrong number or something like that, then there's a very high financial risk for the person in case they want to interact with the customer service representative. Apart from this,
would the customer? So let me ask it differently. So would the customer service agent know that there's a blind person on the other side? And
I think
would
we
they do
can.
it differently?
Sure. I think we can have an option there because, as I mentioned earlier, HDFC Bank already knows who is visually impaired and who is not. And that's why when a call is given from this particular account ID to a customer service representative, they know that this person is visually impaired and maybe they can accommodate their requests accordingly.
Okay, great. All right. Thanks, Mahesh. Thanks very much for your presentation.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mavish, for the presentation. I think we're done with all five. All of you did, I think, a great job. All of us can agree on that. So I think Nirat and Radhika, you guys can go offline, take some time, and let us know who the top three winners are. Meanwhile, we'll just engage with the participants and ask about their experience. But yeah, I think you can.
Sounds good. Just give us like 3-4 minutes. So we'll just
Yeah, yeah.
quickly chat on the side and then we'll come back.
Sure, works.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, meanwhile, I think all the finalists, if you can come on stage, share your experience, or if anybody wants to come on stage and talk about your process through this, and how many of you are excited for the Inclusive Product Management Fellowship? What is your opinion? Anything you want. I think maybe share on stage if you can start. You've been part of a lot of teardowns already.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. So I think this was a very unique challenge, Amita, especially
Yeah.
because we don't really think of these individuals, right, in our regular lives. When I started solving for this, what I did was I started talkback mode and I closed my eyes and tried to understand how I can use the phone in general and then the SDFC app in particular. It was very challenging, let me say. Uh, Talkback mode is, at least for beginners, it's very difficult to use. And even the select to speak, something kind of an accessibility feature is there. And SDFC Bank app does not work at all. So because it shows a web view, this specific feature considers that the app is an image and it can't read. So that was a challenge. And yeah, I mean, a very interesting problem statement to solve. And it was a great experience.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. We thought of a lot of different ways we can do inclusivity, blind people, gender, and I think all of you took different approaches. It was really great. I think Mavish, you know, this is very different from the usual problem statements we do in teardowns.
Right.
So
And
yeah,
because this was very open-ended, generally,
yeah, very yeah.
generally companies come and they want to solve a problem relevant to themselves, and then when we ask questions, the answers are very specific. Here, because it was open-ended, the research aspect was uh, greater than usual.
Yeah, I guess that was the challenging part this time for all of the participants as well. That this time
Yeah.
it's an open-ended problem statement. Take your creativity and do what you want.
Right.
That's the thing. Other participants, if you want to come on stage and just share your experience, Shreya, Nishtha, Arjun, Mehek, Sujan, any of you want to come share your experience, or if non-participants, if you participated, but uh, Aarti is asking me when is the next problem statement. Aarti, we already have a partner. We'll be announcing it by next week for the next product add-on for May. So keep a lookout. Yeah, I think Nirat is back. Nirat and Radhika. Yeah,
Hi, we're back. So we were all we were both scoring this in parallel on 2 or 3 different dimensions. How well was the problem articulated? What was the solution, and how was the sort of communication? So we've got the scores. How do you want us to do it, Shamata? Should we just read out the top three? What do
yeah.
you want?
You can tell us the top three. I think from we can start from bottom to top.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good. So at number 3, I think both with the scores that Radhika and I we've put together, we've got Mevesh. Mevesh, really loved your kind of idea, and the fact that it was a very different way of doing it, simplifying the user journey and making certain kinds of transactions much more accessible. So as it so happens, I do actually have a very close family member who is legally blind. So I can, and they were a very active investor. So I can totally see how this can actually be at least a there are multiple things one needs to actually look at in terms of practical regulatory stuff. But I think this is definitely worth exploring more. So thank you for your thoughts and putting this together. So that's Mehevesh. I think at number 2 we've got Mehek. Mehek really liked the way you actually structured the personas, the different kinds of solutioning you did on the fashion app, and also I think you're thinking generally about the why of why you did certain things. So there's a lot of that which I think can be fairly rapidly deployed on apps like Myntra. So thank you for your time again. And I think both Radhika and I found Sujan and Dharunesh's presentation to be extremely well structured on both the rider and the user side. And I think some of those ideas on how do you make delivery safer in our kind of rating, they stand out at number 1. So fantastic job and really well presented.
Congratulations to all the winners. Nirat, Radhika, do you want to call probably the top winners and just ask them for their experience?
Yeah, would love to. So shall we start with maybe because I think Mehevesh has already shared his journey, but if you want to just
Yeah.
say anything more, Mehevesh, would love to actually hear from you how your experience was. If there's anything that you think we should keep in mind as we think about these things in the fellowship.
Yeah, Mavish, Mehek, Sujan, if you all can come on stage. Okay, Mavish is here.
Hi, thank you.
Congratulations, Mavish.
Thank you, Jonathan. As I mentioned, Nirat, it was a very fun experience. I uh, went for a moonshot approach as a solution this time because I think that was what was required, especially because uh, see, if, I mean the thing is that even simple things like implementing the right content structure, adding the right tags, um, and pop-ups, as I mentioned, right? These are things that can be easily implemented by product teams for whatever reason they are not. And I think that becomes a challenge for visually impaired people to even use basic accessibility features already present in Android phones. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure the fellowship that you are doing will help in this regard to make people understand and uh, making sure of these basic fundamentals. Apart from this, yeah, I mean, it was a very fun experience working on it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mehevesh. Mehek?
Thank you so much for this. First of all, I have so this is my first teardown. I have attended in Sergio before this, but yeah, this is my first ever teardown, and I really enjoyed the whole journey of talking with a lot of users and understanding where things, because things are very difficult for them as it is already, right? And understanding that and trying to create something that basically helps them and give them any, so basically eases their life in a way. It was really fun. It was very liberating also in a way. And yeah, if some of these features if some of the features actually come into play, I think that this will like create a lot of impact on the society and the people that we are voting for, the people we are basically looking out for, right? So, and I really loved the experience. I really loved the whole journey of conducting research and taking that raw data and just making it into something structured and something that really helps.
Thank you. Sujan, Dharunesh?
Yeah, really thanks. Actually, thanks for the opportunity. And this is not my first, like basically this is my first submission, but this is not my first attempt actually. So I tried submitting in at least like in the last 3 times, but I wasn't able to submit the deck actually. So this is the first time I submitted the deck, and yeah, really thankful for the opportunity. And yeah, coming to inclusive product management fellowship, when I heard about it, I mean, I wasn't basically I didn't know about it, and when I heard about it, I really liked the idea actually. So you guys are actually creating very something very good, and yeah, again thanks for the opportunity and really good.
Yeah, thank you. This is my first teardown, and actually he used to work more on product management. So whenever he finds any problem, we both will discuss and we solve some problems. But in previous case studies, I was not involved. So this is my first case study. So yeah, this is very fun.
Thank you, Sujan. I just want to say one quick thing. Shreya, Nishtha, and Arjun. Thank you, all three of you, for your time. I think it was really on the margins. This kind of selecting 3 out of 5 is always on the margins. So I think really found your ideas also to be super high quality. So thank you for the effort. And there's a lot of thinking in there, which hopefully somebody or the other will adopt and make these products more inclusive.
Yeah, congratulations to all of you. We'll reach out to you for the next steps and all the prizes. So keep a lookout for that. Yeah, congratulations all the winners. And thank you so much, Nirat and Radhika, for joining us on a Saturday and making it happen. We'll again connect you with the winners, and you can also take it forward with the fellowship for them.
Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah.
Amita. Thanks, Nakshi. And thanks everyone for attending. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a
Thank you
good
so
weekend.
much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you all for joining. I hope you look out for the next Teardown, which will be launching very soon. And yeah, thank you so much for joining on a Saturday. Have a nice weekend.